This story is based on true events. Hey guys, Dave from Team Rubalcava Network. Hey, thanks for tuning in for another Krampfire Chronicles, except this one is actually based on true events that actually happened to us. So we are on location right now out in Big Bear, and guess what? We are staying at the same exact place we stayed at a year ago when something happened to us. Now, I kind of mentioned this a little bit on one of the live streams, but one of the things that happened to us was very, very strange. Now, every single vacation we go on, there's always something strange that happened, but this one is actually the one that kind of really made me nervous, and that doesn't happen too often in my life, but this time it really made me nervous. So let me kind of set the stage for you guys. It was our second night here in Big Bear when we actually were woken up to a lot of dogs barking. We were like, it was kind of going on all night long. We heard dogs barking and things like that, so I didn't think anything of it. A lot of locals here, they have dogs, no big deal, right? But guess what happened? My wife woke me up at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, what's going on? Leave me alone. She said, shh, quiet. So I'm gonna pan this way. You see this door right here? It's not a door, it's a window actually. This window actually looks outside of our cabin down to another cabin right next to us. My wife was actually standing right here, and telling me to be quiet. And I woke up and I'm like, what's going on? She said, look, there's somebody outside. And I'm like, what do you mean there's somebody outside? So I get up and she's like, shh, be quiet. There is somebody outside of the house, sitting across from us, sitting and staring there. And I'm like, what? And so I get up, and of course, my heart's pounding. I'm like, oh shoot, what's going on here? So I'm like, let me take a peek. So I kind of walk over, right? I walk over to the side of this window, and I look out, and there's somebody sitting out there. This guy's sitting in black, with a black sweater, just all dark clothes. And we're like, what is going on? And so then the guy gets up, right? He gets up and he starts to actually walk down the street, and the dogs are going ballistic. Dogs are barking and barking and barking. And we're like, okay, well, we figured maybe he's just kind of, got lost, whatever, walked up the street, and he was gone. So we kind of sat up in bed and we're like, what's going on, man? And guess what? We hear all the dogs go bonkers again, and we can hear that sound, like that sound if you've ever listened when you hear somebody stepping on gravel, like you just hear the crunches in the ground. That's exactly what we started hearing again, and we hear the dogs barking. But here's what really started creeping me out, guys. We're looking out this window right here. We're looking out the window, and this is what I start to hear. At 3 o'clock in the morning, this guy's just doing this whistle, like everything that you have ever seen in like a horror flick, right? A horror flick is exactly what we saw. I mean, we could barely make heads or tails of where he was at. There's a little bit of light out there that you could see, but it was really dark, and we hear the dogs barking and barking and barking. And guess what? He comes back and sits right down in front, across the street from our house again. And we're like, what the hell? I said, at this time, we got to call the cops. So we call the cops. I get on the phone. Actually, Marlena's the one that actually called on the phone and said, hey, there's this guy outside. Like, he's been walking around. He's pacing around outside. Can you come as soon as possible? The cops are like, yes, we'll be there, right? And then something weird happens, right? So then we start kind of, let me show you. I'm going to back up real quick. Now there's a second window right here. If you guys can look at this, there's another window in the bedroom. And now this guy has actually moved in between both these houses. So we have where we're staying at. You see downstairs, there's a house down here as well. The guy actually stood right between these two houses. And man, dude, I was starting to get nervous now, because now I'm wondering, like, what the hell's going on? So guess what I have to do? I gotta go downstairs, man. I gotta go downstairs to figure out like what is going on, just to make sure everything is secure. And guess what happens when I go downstairs? All the damn lights are on. And I'm like, what the heck? This is why the guy was sitting across. He was looking into our house the entire time. Because at some point, the kids probably got up, got some water or something, and then just left the lights on. So I'm like, I get out of the room, I walk out of the room, I look down. Oh, I can see there's light down there. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they left the lights on. So I start coming down the stairs slowly, right? Because now I'm nervous, because This guy is so close to our house, and I'm pretty sure he can hear me going down the steps, right? Because we're just next door. These stairs make a lot of noise. They're old, they're wood, they're broken. So I'm going downstairs. I'm like, oh damn, dude, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm starting to get nervous, and so I flick off all the lights, turn everything off, and then I kind of go to the windows in the front. I'm kind of like peeking outside to see if I could see him, and I could see him. He's actually maybe only 15 yards from the house now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So you know what? The light goes on. Bing, check the doors, right? And so then I go like, let me go check the front doors. Check all the front doors. Everything's locked. Everything is good. And then I go to the back door. Now, guys, this property, we've stayed at a lot of properties in Big Bear, and they've always had fences that surround the property. This one, no gate, no fence, no nothing. So this guy could walk into our backyard pretty much, right? I go downstairs, guess what? The damn sliding glass door is open and unlocked. And I'm just like, what the hell? So I kind of quietly close it. Now I'm freaking out because I'm like, this guy, you know, if we have to defend this place, we're gonna have to defend it. So I come back upstairs and say, Martin, look, this guy's like, he's clearly on some type of drug. He's clearly on something because of his movements. And what I saw when I was looking down, you know, down that window, is this is what I saw. I'm gonna kind of reenact it for you guys. This is what I saw. Right? So I knew he was clearly on some type of drugs, and I'm like, man, if I have to fight this guy, if I have to defend him, this guy is drugged up, man. So I'm getting nervous, and I'm like telling my wife, look, stay calm, keep the kids. You know, we just got to kind of figure out what's going to happen next. So then, just then, we see him get up and walk away. Right? We see him go down the street, make a right. Guess who shows up? About 30 seconds later. You guessed it, the cops show up 30 seconds after he walks away, right? So I go downstairs, hey, this is what's going on. This guy's been walking up and down the street, you know, for the last like 25 minutes, and you know, he's been sitting in front of our house. Now he's sitting between us and another property, and he's just drugged out. Like, I know he's high on something, right? The cops take my statement, whatever, say, okay, go back to bed, lock all your doors, all that good stuff, right? Typical stuff that you would hear. And then guess what happens? So I tell him, okay, he went out, he made a right, because I watched him leave and then make a right. Guess what the cops do? One goes straight, one makes a left. They take off in opposite directions. And I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? I could hear all the dogs barking down the street where he was walking. And the cops go in the opposite direction. So that's kind of what happened, man. And it was probably, I'm going to tell you this, it was probably the first time in my life where I actually felt primal fear. Like the fear where, you know, you may have to defend your own life, your own family, to the point where we're like, what can we grab, what can we use as a weapon? Like that kind of primal fear where, you know what, if it's gonna go down, we're gonna defend this home, and that's what we're gonna have to do. So if we have to do it as a family, so be it. And yeah, it was a really, really scary story. And you know, I can nervous. I was really, really nerve-wracked. It was nervous time for me, and it was really uneasy, and good thing we left the next day. And I just kind of felt, you know, kind of relieved. And so, you know, this is what Marn thought as well. Now you may be asking, why would you come back to the same place, dude? Let me tell you why. It was all logistics, because we booked this place about 6 months in advance. This time I did it about 2.5 months in advance. And guess what? I was scrolling through bigbearvacations.com, scrolling through, and everything was so super overpriced right now. And then guess what I found? I found the same place we stayed in, and it was cheaper. And I'm just like, oh, okay, we're gonna do it. We had, other than that incident, guys, we had a blast. We had fun here. We had a good time as a family. But I just finally decided, you know what, man? Let's just go back. And when we go back, maybe it's time to actually share with everybody what actually happened that day. And, you know, we can add that to, you know, the story, a bunch of crazy stories that always happen to us on trips, including this trip now, which we have more to share in a future video. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you so much for just dropping in and watching my Krampfire Chronicles Part 2, I think is what it is, and more, the stories that happened to us. I'll probably share some more. I have a lot of crazy stories that have happened to our family, and thank you for sticking by and watching it. Thank you guys for all your support. We finally became monetized, and that's all because of you guys. So thank you so much. We appreciate the support. Until next time, Krampfire Chronicles Part 2. We will see you in Part 3 sometime soon. Peace.